Hey there, sweet friend. We are in the dog days of summer. I'm going to take you into our garden today and show you what we're finding and maybe what we're not this year. Doing a little bit of prep in the kitchen, making some fresh meals, and trying my hand at a few new projects while also making some tried and true favorite treats. Be sure to join me today in the farmhouse for some yummy inspiration and a good heart-to-heart about abundance.
We were given no direction here, Ruth. Are we supposed to follow? I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, let's take a step into the garden. I honestly have been avoiding my garden a lot this year. It just has not been producing. It was full of water for far too long, and even my zinnia patch looks pretty desperate this year. There's lots of weeds, and our tomatoes are no bigger than this. I think I found all of 5 tomatoes today, and this was the only one I found that was ripe and ready to pick. Here we are again with the peppers. I swear it doesn't matter if it's a drought or if it rains every day. We, for some reason, can always raise peppers. So I was able to grab a few of these. If you have any good ideas for what to do with these banana peppers, please let me know. I feel like I don't have any good ways to preserve them for long term. So I'm thinking on that one still. Our bell peppers actually looked pretty good this year too. Last year we had like the state fair ones that were beautiful. This year they're a little ugly and I'm not really sure what's wrong with that one. Maybe because it's been too wet. And our potato and onion patch was again like underwater too long. So it's really sad around here that we're not going to have that abundant harvest that we were used to last year. You guys know that laundry is just an everyday chore here in our house, and I'm always on the hunt for ways to reduce toxins in our home. So that is why I am switching to EarthBreeze, which happens to be the sponsor of today's video. EarthBreeze laundry sheets come in these convenient little sheets you just throw directly in the laundry. The number one thing for me that's a win is that they're healthier for my family. When we're doing laundry every day, I want to make sure that I am exposing my family to as few chemicals and things as possible. So EarthBreeze helps with that. But I also love that they're eco-friendly in that they come in these cardboard pouches, and we're eliminating all that single-use plastic jug garbage that's hitting the landfills every year. I have tried some different laundry detergent sheets over the years, and I feel like these are the best quick dissolving ones I have tried. A lot of other ones have left residue in the drum of my washing machine, and I can't be a fan of that. So you can get the EarthBreeze sheets in fragrance free and a fresh scent as well. So if you're more sensitive, you have more sensitive skin in your family, you might want to try the fragrance free version, but I really enjoyed the fresh scent ones as well. Another thing I love about the EarthBreeze laundry sheets is that they take up this much space on my shelf. There's no heavy jugs with messy caps, no oozing laundry detergent all over the shelf anymore. It's just these mess-free detergent sheets on the shelf. If you want to give EarthBreeze a try, right now you can try EarthBreeze for up to 40% off plus 4 free gifts at earthbreeze.com/rustichoney. And thank you again to EarthBreeze for helping me simplify laundry and for sponsoring today's video. I have a special link for you, so be sure to use this for up to 40% off plus 4 free gifts, or you can scan the QR code here. Now, although this big bell pepper harvest didn't feel like very many peppers at all in comparison to last summer, it actually still ended up being quite a few. So I thought tonight I would make some stuffed peppers because I actually have like a beef and rice mixture that I made, which was basically an unstuffed pepper if I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to use up those leftovers on some stuffed bell peppers tonight. And while I'm at it, I'm going to flash freeze a few of these bell pepper strips for fajitas on another night and just get those in the freezer. I really like having those on hand, especially in the dead of winter when you're in the mood for just a little bit of that summer crunch. The thing with having an abundant bell pepper or just pepper harvest in general is if I don't have the tomatoes to go with it, I don't really know how much I'm going to use up of these. So I can keep them in the freezer. If I end up getting some tomatoes, then maybe I can make a sauce with it later. But let me know in the comments below if you have ideas about what you do with your peppers. Maybe you have a good pepper jelly or something I should try this year. I do have a lot of jalapenos coming on, so typically we'll do pickled jalapenos or candied jalapenos. Sometimes we call that cowboy candy, but I love those, especially on like chili in the middle of the winter. But when it comes to the banana peppers, I'm really lost. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to just do like a quick pickle on some of those maybe and eat them fresh now, or maybe try to can some for later. I don't know. You let me know what I should do with them, please, especially now that I don't have very many tomatoes, because that's usually where a lot of my peppers end up. Now, just prepping dinner here a little bit, I'm going to hit this pan with a little bit of avocado oil and then put in these pepper halves. Now, I'm not going for a beauty contest when it comes to my stuffed peppers. And honestly, my family doesn't really love to have a whole pepper when it comes to the stuffed peppers. I would rather have more of the stuffing than the pepper, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just use up what I have and basically layer it almost like a casserole instead. For the rice mixture, I have this leftover Mexican rice. It was basically ground beef with some taco blend seasonings on it. I added some fire roasted, it's like the off-brand of Rotel. So tomatoes and green chilies, but the fire roasted kind, it just has a little extra flavor to it. If you can find those canned, those are always my favorite to grab. And I would have even added a little cream cheese. That would be a really yummy thing to add. But tonight I'm just going to put on some cheddar cheese on top and then just put this in the fridge until we're ready to bake it later. All of my filling and everything is cooked, so really all I need to do is heat it through and soften up the pepper a little bit. So I'm going to cover it with foil and it will bake for about 45 minutes to an hour depending on how tender you like your peppers. Now, if you like quite a bit of crunch left in your peppers, then I would suggest maybe only about 30 minutes. And I should mention that I also baked this at about 350 in the oven. I don't use foil too often in my cooking, but when I do, if I need to cover something, I like to hit it with a little bit of oil because it just prevents that sticking from happening, and especially if you have something covered in cheese like I do tonight. Now, my boys have been taking an interest in cooking this summer, and it was one of those things I wanted to work with them on. I feel like my oldest, who will be 11 this fall, he can make some basic things in the kitchen. You know, I've taught him how to make scrambled eggs this summer. He knows how to boil water now and make some little favorites like macaroni or ramen noodles, you know, the really healthy stuff. But I just wanted him to have a few skills around the kitchen And although it takes a little extra time on my end to run them through those things, it is empowering for them to know that they can make some things in the kitchen too. Now, you may have noticed I've been boiling water here and putting it in my sink. We have not had hot water for more days than I would like to admit. Our hot water heater went out, although we just replaced it a couple years ago. So that's been a whole ordeal, waiting on the warranty and the parts and the repairs. So here I am chatting with my husband again about the daily update, but we are trying to patiently wait. Project going on here in the kitchen. It's water kefir. I feel like I've been seeing this a lot more lately. It's more of a summertime drink, but I have yet to really get familiar with water kefir. I'd been meaning to do it for a long time, and I just haven't made the time to get all of the supplies. But my mother-in-law had some kefir grains the other day and gave me a start. So I thought, let's make a batch and see how it goes. My kids really enjoyed it and begged for more. So here we are making another round of kefir water this week. It is kind of a process where you need a little bit of patience, if you will, because you do have to let this sit for 48 hours before you add your flavors and things. It seems like the more patient you are, the more delicious the outcome. So here I am just feeding the kefir grains to create the water. So I will put the measurements that I followed down in the description box below, but basically I'm making a sugar water and then putting the kefir grains in there, and that will sit there for about 48 hours before I put it into bottles with a fruit concentrate. Last time I did a grape juice version and a lemonade. I think the grape juice one turned out even better. I'm sure the sugar content was just a little bit higher in that one, so it created a little bit more carbonation. As the kefir grains eat up that sugar, it carbonates and it creates a homemade soda, but it has all of these, probiotic benefits for your gut too. So obviously so much better for my kids than giving them straight juice. And I'm so excited that they liked it. So to counteract that healthy thing, let's make some cookies today in the kitchen as well. You guys know I am all about that balance. If you are interested in learning with me as I get better, hopefully, at kefir water, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to share more about the process. All right, I am just in the mood for cookies this week. I have had a sweet tooth for some reason. We haven't had really any kind of treat in the house for a while, so I thought it was time to break out some chocolate chip cookies. But of course, I don't have just straight up chocolate chips in the house this week, so I'm using up what I have. Again, just working with this lack of ingredients and lack of things around the home here. Now, as we're chatting, just know that I will put this recipe in the description box below, but this has kind of become my go-to cookie dough, and then I just throw in whatever chips I have lying around. Now, I know I said lack of ingredients, but look at me pulling out this abundance of sweetness over here. I've got some white chocolate chips, a few of those caramel bits that I love to throw into cookies, and I have some little mini chocolate chips. So we really have no lack here whatsoever. It's going to turn out fantastic. Honestly, it's probably going to turn out better than it would have with just the chocolate chips. So isn't that funny how that's just how things go? Sometimes when we find ourselves with a little bit of a lack, we end up having something better in the long run. And that is just such a little life lesson that I'm learning right now. Now, side note, if you want prettier cookies, be sure to use them out of the freezer after they've been flash frozen for a while. They set up a little bit better, but man, these thin, ooey gooey, chewy cookies hit the spot. So maybe not the prettiest, but I'm telling you, they were good. Now, I'm not gonna lie. The garden, the lack of garden, and the lack of hot water, and maybe even the lack of extra time for projects this summer can really be a bummer. But if I can choose instead the abundance that we do have, the time I'm saving by not being in the garden or canning things constantly, the clean and abundant water I do have coming from my sink, even though it's not hot, and this very sweet, though chaotic times I do have with my kids this summer, I know I will soon miss when we get into the busy days of fall. When you choose to focus on the abundance instead of the lack, before you know it, your neighbors show up with their abundant harvest and you're blessed all over again.